Oh man.
In the twilight hour, the gavel's down. Hear the tilted lawyer in velvet gown. Whispers of law beneath the moon's sweet glow. He's here to guide you through the undertow. From tales of love lost and battles won, to secrets that hide when the day is done. He'll paint the night with stories so stark. Welcome to Family Law After Dark. Light up that cigar and pour a glass of red, as we wade through matters not often said, where hearts and minds often leave a mark. Dive deep into Family Law After Dark. The lawyer's voice smooth like leather. He's singing lies only he can tether. In the sultry jazz lounge, let the wisdom flow. Feel the rhythm in the late night glow. Through custody tangles and alimony strife, he navigates the drama of everyday life. With a wry wink and a cheeky remark, let's unravel Family Law After Dark. Light up that cigar and pour a glass of red, as we wade through matters not often said, where hearts and minds often leave a mark. Dive deep into Family Law After Dark. Light up that cigar and pour a glass of red, as we wade through matters not often said, where hearts and minds often leave a mark. Dive deep into Family Law After Dark.
Happy Friday to all of you out there for some Family Law After Dark. This is Omar Serrato with the Tilted Lawyer podcast, joined by Bruce the Moose from Oregon and Schnitzel Ninja for another rousing episode of Family Law After Dark. After dark. As you can see, Bruce has his Christmas lights over there and is outside his window so that you don't lose your way.
It's decorative.
How you doing, folks? It is decorative, that's for sure. How would you describe it? How you been, Schnitzel?
Oh, it's been
It's been a long time since glad, you know?
Yeah, it's nice to be doing something other than taking care of a child.
Tell me about it. Oh, is this like your free time finally after a long week of keeping a child alive?
Yes, and then we have a busy day tomorrow, but so tonight's just a chill night.
Are y'all doing anything crazy for Super Bowl?
No, I find it less interesting because they're like the same teams as last time.
Like the Chiefs.
Yeah, I know. I mean, they're a great team. Like, there's no denying that. But I have like
they're
a
a bunch of
special
cheaters.
place.
They're a
Well,
bunch of cheaters and their souls are rotten. I wish them. Well, I'm not going to go all that. But yes, rotten souls, the dirty bastards. How about that?
So if it had been like the Bills versus the Eagles, I definitely would have watched that game. But this one, I think I'm kind of like, well, I'll watch the highlights afterwards. I'll see who won. You know.
Are you a Bills fan?
I am not a particular fan of any team, but they went to 4 Super Bowls in a row and lost all of them. Yeah, I have a special place in my heart for the Bills.
Yeah. Hey, Bruce, I heard you had a birthday, man. How you been?
I did. Oh, living the dream.
Yeah, how you
Good
feeling
times.
over there, man? Big 5-0?
Getting old.
Oh, 4-0. 4-0.
Yeah.
I didn't mean to reveal Bruce's age.
Let's roll it back.
Never mind what I just. Yeah, roll it back. Let's rewind. You know what? I'm just gonna get into the stories, man. How about this?
Yeah.
Let's get into this first one. This person wants to know.
I'm going to avoid
if
my
they are the
warranty if I hack my odometer.
Oh, don't hack your odometer. Well, this one is oddly age appropriate for Bruce. Woman in her late 50s. Married to a husband.
Damn! Pass.
This person wants
You
to-
forgot the P. Pass.
Yeah. Can't pass. There's no get out of jail free card. Let's just see. All right. Am I the asshole for keeping score of everything I've ever done for my husband? This is a lady, right? Okay.
Oh, does she have an Excel spreadsheet?
I don't know, but I'd imagine she sounds something like this.
I'm a woman in my late 50s. I'm married to my husband. He's early 60s. We've been married for 30-odd years. I have fulfilled the role of a traditional wife for much of our marriage, and I left paid work soon into our marriage. My husband is very successful in his business, and we live comfortably. All our children are adults now.
Is that too distracting, or should I continue?
Yeah. Chat's going to murder us.
My
if
brain
we
is
use the
tingling.
voices.
I don't know what to pay attention to.
I feel like this sounds like Megan Fox's Laura Owens voice.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, kind of.
You should do Cali girl
It's
accent.
good in tiny.
I gotta play
sounds.
with this more.
Like,
I'm trying to play.
What?
Yeah, exactly.
Does he look like a bitch?
Totally.
Oh, boy.
All right, my husband built his business from the ground up. I was instrumental to the early success, which set it up to be what it is today.
She's humble too.
Totally. She's. I'll tell you what. She's definitely keeping score. We're having lunch with our children when my son mentioned that his wife didn't want to be trad wife and do what I did to raise the kids. She raised concerns about how vulnerable a position it is, and that she doesn't want to solely depend on him for money. He wanted me to talk to her and convince her by telling her how it worked out for me. Oh, kids. I said I understood where she's coming from. Being a housewife is incredibly risky and vulnerable, especially if he leaves her and she's been out of the labor force for a while. And that is true and valid.
Mhm.
Countered that it had worked for his father and I, because I trusted him as my husband to provide for me, and why couldn't his wife do the same? I told him I have a meticulous record of all contributions I've ever made to the family business.
Wow.
It's a lot of energy to keep a meticulous record of contributions, you know?
Status reports.
Yeah, spreadsheets, break them out.
Ooh.
Recently digitized with the help of my daughter. Digitized.
Mm-hmm. Oh my.
So that we worst ever happened, I wouldn't be relying on the mercy of a man to feed myself. I promise you, I guarantee 100%, if she ever got divorced, she would be her first request would be, where's my alimony? I want it. I want it all.
Sure.
Um,
We don't know where they are.
no, I mean, they're in their
I'm
50s.
going to say like Canada or England or something, because labor they spelled with a U.
Well, you know,
I guess those
And these
people
are
can live other
digitized.
places too.
I don't think. Yeah.
all right. So I told him I have made many contingency plans over the years to minimize the risk of being a housewife and compensate for my lack of pension and benefits I'd have had I not left the labor force. My son and husband were angered by this. Both said it showed a lack of trust. My husband especially feels I've had one foot out the door our entire marriage,
What?
and that my little escape plan includes plans to shaft him of his business. I told him the fact that he refers to it as his business rather than ours is exactly why I check his records, and why I won't be telling my daughter-in-law to do what she doesn't want to do. Am I the asshole? Notes. It's late here, so I'm going to respond in the morning. Thank Jesus. Thank you for your engagement. I've read and responded to as many comments as I'm able. Thank you for sharing your perspectives, and 99% of you being really polite. I'm going away for a spa weekend with the women, and this lady's a peach.
Spa weekend.
What's
Where's
that?
my invite? Come on.
I've never had one of those.
I know.
Gosh.
We need a spa weekend.
Let's
What the
go.
heck?
I'm
That's
trying to
spa
be
weekend.
open-minded with this lady, man. I don't want to just automatically dismiss her. Let me hear her out. Okay, spa weekend, take care, XX. That means hugs, I've learned. We have arrived at the spa, and oh my God, she gave us the play-by-play. Ended up being me and my daughters. Ink by marriage. What does that mean? Ink?
Daughter-in-law.
Yeah.
Ink means daughter-in-law?
Mm-hmm.
So it's going to be a good weekend to chat freely about this.
Well,
So
it doesn't mean daughter-in-law, but that's what she's implying here.
Oh,
Yeah.
I'm lost.
The whole
My brain
language
is
implies daughter-in-law.
got it. Thank you for deciding I'm not the A. My daughters read the thread and also feel I'm not in the wrong. I'll continue to periodically engage if I see something, but for the most part, I'm going to spend quality time with my girls and relax. Bye for now. XX.
Oh boy.
I have 2 different answers for this lady.
Really?
Yeah.
Hmm.
I feel like I should let you all go first. All right, I'll share mine since you all are so.
I mean, I think it's pretty straightforward. She's basically kept a record of status reports or annual performance review type material. Like,
Yeah,
here are my accomplishments. Here's a record of them in OneNote or Excel or whatever.
Yeah.
And whether you do that at your job that a third-party employer pays you to do, or whether you do that for yourself because you're self-employed, or whether you do that because you're a stay-at-home parent, who cares?
Could I just tell you this? This is my lawyer answer to her.
Mm.
In probably 30% of my cases, it's a rough estimate. It's probably pretty accurate. I have women who have been married for upwards of 20 years, who were traditional stay-at-home moms that left the workforce like in the early 2000s, late 90s.
Or 20 years ago, yeah.
Yeah, now entering their 50s or early 60s. They have no retirement account in their names. They don't have any work skills. Their earning capacity is basically full-time minimum wage. Yeah, go be a greeter at Walmart, go work in fast food, some entry-level position, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Some of them even, I was in the process of getting my master's degree, but then we had a kid, and so I dropped out. And I've been raising the kids for the last 16 years,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so their degrees are useless. They're archaic. Their work experience is not what is called for in today, 2025. They don't have the ability to earn the money that would allow them to maintain their current living arrangements. And so it's a very real thing for women when they get divorced from their breadwinners. And I don't mean that to be derogatory. Their husband who have been providing. It's scary for them to go out and try to carry on with their life after that. So I don't blame her for having a contingency plan. Matter of fact, I have myself, as an attorney, advised women to do stuff like that. Which is not to say like to hide assets or anything, but hey, there's nothing wrong with keeping an account that's in your name. It's all community property, but just so that when you guys finally file for divorce, he doesn't drain the bank accounts and you're sitting there scrambling for money, no money to get a hotel, no money to rent a place. You're like living back with your mom and you're in your 40s.
Right.
And so there's something to that. And I'm not mad at her for doing that. It's just this whole attitude to her husband. Like, it appears that one of the symptoms of being a traditional stay-at-home wife is no longer being seen by the public as anything other than a mom and a husband. To the point where she's keeping score. She starts off, my husband is very successful in his business. She called it his business. And we live I don't know what his business is, but he built it, I guess. She admits as much in this sentence. This is a lady that writes very deliberately. She keeps track. She keeps score. And I don't think she said that by accidents. Children are adults. So they're done with the nesting stage. They're empty nesters, I guess. My husband built his business from the ground up, but she's careful to mention I was instrumental to the early success, which set it up to be what it is today. And that's not a false statement.
Mhm.
Because I'll tell you what, if I had to do all the things that my wife does to raise the 4 and the 5-year-old and stay at home with the kids and do these things, I would not be able to do all the things that I do.
Mhm.
It's just a fact.
Yeah.
And so she has sacrificed herself and her career and her standing as a professional person in the world
Mhm.
for the success of her husband. But he's the one that gets all the recognition.
Yeah.
He makes the money. He's the business owner. He's the CEO of the company. He's this and he's that. He's provided us with a good life. He.
Mhm.
This is like that poem we read when it was like that one lady's like, I am the keeper of schedules. I am the master of dragons.
Yeah.
And so all of these things. And she's smarting a little bit about not being seen by anybody other than being this traditional wife. So I feel her on that front. But and look, I don't know, I don't have any evidence in this post to suggest that they have a bad marriage. But there's a certainly built up animosity there.
Yeah.
There's some kind of communication gap because of the reaction that they had to finding out that she had kept this status report log.
She's
Right? Because if you scroll down, she says he was unhappy about that, right? They were angered by this.
Well, it's this and angering the same way that you, a fiance might be upset about the prospect of signing a prenup. Why would you do that? You got one foot out the door. You got your escape plan, you know?
Well, a prenup is like, hey, this is something I want to talk about that is going to happen next.
Well, some people
They're
feel
angry
like
because of something she has done in the past that they never talked about. There's
Mhm.
a subtle difference.
for sure. I think it's different for sure. Yeah, like the prenup, I understand why people want it. And if I were in that situation and I had things that I wanted to protect, like I would want to have one, but I can understand how the partner could even if they're not looking to get money out of the situation, if they're actually in it for love, I could understand how that would be like, well, are you planning to not be with me forever? Or like, but with this, it sounds like there's been stuff in the past that made him feel like had one foot out the door for like a longer time in the relationship. So I'd wonder what other things have happened.
Well, there's
you know.
100%. There's the tenor of animosity
Mhm.
with the two of them. And look, we're getting this from her perspective. From his perspective, maybe he feels not seen or recognized by wife because she's pissed off about him getting all this recognition, and it's starting to color the way that she interacts with him. Maybe she's not as sweet as she used to be. Maybe she's not as happy. Maybe she's not this or that. And I guarantee you, he feels the sting of her animosity. He just hasn't been able to define it yet because they probably don't talk about it.
Mhm.
But there's definitely something to, whenever one person in the house is pulling most of the weight. And look, the husband has his weight and she's got hers. He's getting all this recognition for his, and she's just like the stopgap, I guess, holding or plugging the holes in the boat, making sure that everybody is. I get what she's saying. It's important that she gets recognition, but the fact that she hasn't, and she's not been able to articulate it, it seems.
Mhm.
Now she has this opportunity to talk to daughter-in-law. How did you become a traditional wife? I want what you have. Oh, well, let me tell you. And then now she's like really proud of the fact that she's kept all of these records, and she has, I don't know if I'd call it an escape plan, but she has contingency plans for sure. It's easy to just say there's a gap in communication, sure, but there's something deeper. Because I've talked to women like this, and it's usually twofold. It's not just that they're regretful of being traditional stay-at-home wives that aren't getting recognized. Sometimes it goes deeper. Sometimes it goes into regret.
Mm-hmm.
I never just married this fucking guy. I could have been all these things.
Mm.
Now the time is gone.
Mhm.
And there's nothing you could do about it. It's gone. And the person that stole that time from you, that you gave it to, but you're in the moment redefining it, has stolen that time from you as your husband. And for whatever good he's done, he's always going to be the guy that stole that. And you can't get it back. And there's going to be this lasting animosity that I'm not sure it could be fixed. I'm not even sure how you would fix it. What do you think about all this, Schnitzel?
I think what you just said is super valid. I think anyone, whether it's a man or a woman, if they take over that homemaker role, or the parent role, I guess, the at-home parent, and they give up any kind of career, then I can see how the animosity can build. And I think you're right. I mean, this goes a lot deeper than anything she's sharing here. But I think it's, on one hand, I think it's valid for her to want to keep track of all of that stuff. But on the other hand, I think there should have been more communication years ago about all of this stuff, so that if it's done with communication, it's different than being done without communication. And it sends two different messages, I think, to the partner about how this person feels about the relationship and where they're at in the relationship. But not to generalize, but the age group, I feel like, kind of fits in with that, like, lack of communication or talking about feelings. I feel like that's kind of a newer thing. Like my dad, for example, and he's in his early 70s, so he's a bit older than these people here, but he was raised to not really talk about his feelings and to just kind of accept things and go with the flow. And my mom grew up in a household, it wasn't talking about feelings, but it was a lot of yelling and like fighting and arguing. So it was interesting to see them try to have conversations, because she's just kind of coming at him with like this high energy. And he would be kind of like a punching bag in a way, where he would just kind of take it and take it and take it, and then he would explode, because neither of them had they were coming from opposite ends of the spectrum, and neither had the tools to communicate at all, really clearly or effectively. So anyway, I guess with this couple, I wish they could have, earlier on in their relationship, learn how to communicate about her saying, how she's feeling, like, hey, I'm starting to feel like this, like it's your business and I'm not being recognized. And what if something did happen with us and I don't have anything to my name? And, just to be open. Like, you can't say what his response would be. We don't know, but
I think I know what his response would be. I feel like it would be like, she would explode on him with all this. I was the one that supported you and you did all these things.
But I mean, during that time, like when that was first starting to happen, and say, hey, I'm really happy to be supporting you in your business and I'm happy for your success, but I want to let you know it's making me feel this way. And I don't want to feel this way. I don't want to end up in 20 years feeling this way even more.
So you got to find that really early on. You're right, because, after a while you get into a groove, and then 20 years later, and she's got all this sass. I don't want to call it sass, but she's got all this animosity and exploding on him, and he's like, "Where the fuck is this coming from?"
Right, because there wasn't that communication. It feels like out of the blue for it, like out of nowhere for him.
Yeah. Bruce, what if your wife, you found out that she had an escape plan like this? And by escape plan, we're literally just talking about she has a contingency if things went bad. She like put things aside or whatever, and you didn't know about it, but you found out about it like years down the road.
I mean, is that what we have here? What do we have here? It's really, I thought she was just writing down her achievements.
Am I redefining this in my own head?
Maybe. I mean, I don't think she's created other accounts.
I feel like she's keeping records of what she's done, so that if and when they get divorced, that she can say, I deserve this much money, this much a percentage of the business, because I have done, these 20 pages of work throughout like these 20 years.
Well, that's silly, because the law kind of just takes care of that. She's not going to be entitled to his business. She's going to be entitled to the community interest of the business. She's not going to get nothing. She's going to get half of everything that was acquired during the marriage, including the house, including income, including retirements. So,
I mean, modulo what jurisdiction they're in, but yeah, I mean, in general.
Yeah, I'm generalizing for sure, but assuming it's a community.
I think there's two situations, right? One is like the spouse is keeping track of their status reports, and you just found out that they've been doing that.
Yeah.
I could see the husband here being jealous because his spreadsheets aren't as cool. But I mean, to me, it's like as long as those things are true. I mean, as long as they're not embellished. Like if somebody said, "Well, I do 100% of the dishes," and it's like, "Well, you do half. You put the dishwasher on half the time," or like I don't know. You can nitpick about these things, right? So it kind of depends. Like, what's in the status report? Is it overblown or is it realistic?
I feel like there's
If
not even
somebody's literally like, I have a secret Swiss bank account and I've been shoveling money into it, that's a whole other thing, right? Because that's kind of fraudulent,
what's
at
a breach
least
for
from
sure.
not from a legal perspective, but from a relationship perspective.
Well, both really.
Well, maybe.
It would be a breach of fiduciary duty, and it'd be an asshole thing to do from a human perspective. What if, Schnitzler Bruce, what if you were to do this? What if you said, you know what? We're going to spend a month in Italy to honor the contributions of my wife. And this entire trip is going to be geared solely towards recognizing your contributions to the beautiful life that we've lived. And he just surprises her with these tickets and plans and whatever. Do you think that she reacts like, oh, now, what is this, your big plan to like just somehow make it up to me? Well, fuck you. And, go that whole route.
What I've learned as a manager is that different people like to be recognized in different ways.
Mm.
Some people want
to be conferred with.
Yeah, some people want money, like as a reward. Some people want a bonus. Some people want to be named, like in a meeting in front of the rest of the company, like in an award. Some people want a plaque. Some people don't want anything. They hate it when people talk, give them an award, or so they just want to do their work, get paid, and go home.
Mm-hmm.
So different people like to be recognized in different ways, and I think that's probably true of these people. It's kind of like the love languages thing, right? Like, is that her love language? I don't know. The other thing is what you said before about the regret. If this is really less about recognition and more about regret, then that's not a solution. Because she may only be realizing now that she's feeling that regret. Mm-hmm. It may be new.
Yeah.
And then it's like, well, what do you do with it now? Now you have to do something about it.
Therapy.
Right.
Well, what's sad is like I talk to these older couples. And yeah, there's all this regret, but then there's also a realization that, what am I going to do? I'm going to go re-enter the market at 78. It's like I lived a life, and it is what it was, and it is what it is. And there's a sadness that comes with that. Mm-hmm. The loss of time is it's truly profound when the time is truly gone, and there's no way to get it back and live those years. And so it's a whole nother variable that I think that most young folks don't even know exists because they got time until they don't, And so how would you need to be? Well,
I don't really get a lot of animosity from her though. I get more like type A, like she is like, like she's writing down her status reports as if she's like going to the board of directors or something. Like what she talks about here is her husband and son being upset. She doesn't really talk about herself being upset.
You don't think it's dripping from her writing?
No, I think her writing's more like type A. Like, I helped make this business what it is. I've written down all my accomplishments. I'm going for a spa weekend. She sounds like an executive.
I feel like she's very much like, I did all of this for him. And if that motherfucker thinks he's going to divorce me and like not recognize everything I did, well, here's a fucking spreadsheet. This is everything I've done. And if that happens, you're going to recognize it and you're going to give me this and you're going to give me that. Cause look at all this shit I gave up to be. Yeah. I feel like it's coming from that, right? That place. That's a vibe I'm getting from it.
Does that not equal animosity to some degree?
I mean, I think there is some built up animosity, and I think she probably realizes some of it is even her own fault because she allowed it to happen, right? But she's placing a lot of the blame on him.
Maybe I think we're speculating on that a little bit.
Yeah,
I think it's the vibe I get from it. Like, of course, I don't know for sure, but
we're literally trying to read her mind right now.
Yeah.
I don't fucking know. I mean, maybe not. Maybe it's animosity. Maybe she's just type A and just is being a dick about it. I don't know.
I don't think she's being a dick about anything. She's asking if she's the asshole.
And I don't think she's the asshole. For making the list, I don't think she's the asshole. I think that's totally valid to make.
I guess if I were her husband, I would be worried that she doesn't feel seen, and I would want to find a way to see her. That makes sense.
Mhm.
And
That could
so
be something for him to talk to her about for sure.
yeah, that was my idea, to take her to Italy for recognizing her contributions for a month. But that's probably a stupid idea, and I know that's probably dumb.
Well,
But
I mean, something analogous to that fits with her love language, with her
yeah,
style, with her personality.
Yeah,
Like,
for him
just
to say,
talk about it.
like, I do appreciate, I mean, hopefully he would say, right, like, I do appreciate everything you've done, and maybe I don't even know everything you've done. I'd love to look at your list and see what you put down, and I'd love to recognize you for those things. How would you like to be recognized?
maybe like a surprise party, just because.
Or what?
With,
Yeah, whatever her thing is.
yeah, I don't know, man. I'm going straight to like trying to find a solution. I know that there's not. I don't fucking know. How would you want to be recognized, Schnitzel, for the work and the contributions you've put in that go unseen and unnoticed because, society doesn't put it on the same plane as, say, starting a business and building it up to be on the Fortune 500 list and all those things.
Hmm. That's a tough question. I don't know if I could give you an answer right now. I feel like I'd have to really think, because it's like, say for example, like in my situation, I do still do some of my work without saying
Mhm.
exactly what it is, right? I do have opportunities for that, but it's not full time.
Right.
Um, so and I've had some conversations with, I've always told my husband I don't want to feel like a single parent. So like
Yeah.
whatever job he has, I want to make sure he's here and that he's able to be present, um, to spend time with our son and with me. And he, a little over 6 months ago, took a different job that took him away from home a lot more. And he has like a two
Mhm.
hour commute to work and a 2 hour commute home.
Yeah.
And I'm not happy about it. It's more money. It's great to have more money. I mean, in those like logistical ways, like for, finance and all that stuff for his career, it's great. For the family, like I'm having to take the brunt of what those changes bring, and it's not
Yeah.
easy, especially like emotionally with our son. And where's daddy, when's daddy coming home, and why isn't he here? I miss daddy, I don't like when daddy goes to work, all of that stuff, that
Mhm.
it's on top of trying to keep the little shit alive every day. It's like all of that on top of it.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's I think it would really take some time for me to personally to think like, wow, how would I want to be recognized for all of that? I think it's sometimes even simply just saying it. I see what you do, or tell me what you do. I don't know all of it. Tell me what you do.
I've played both roles. Like I've been the single dad where my daughter lived with me, my eldest, 18. She lived with me while I was like going to law school and trying to build my career as a lawyer, and I had like the help of my mom, and she helped me a lot with that. But I was doing the single dad thing, and it was like the most thankless job that there is. And so I certainly can appreciate the level of sacrifice and how hard that job is, because it sucks, man. It sucks.
Mhm.
And with my 4 and my 5-year-old, I have a lot more help now, because I got my wife. But when she went out of town,
Mhm.
like a few, it's like, fucking shit, it's a lot, man. You guys want something every 2 minutes. And so you get like, Dad, I'm thirsty. Like you like
And you're like, yes, honey, yes, darling. What would you like?
I know, and it's like you sit down, it's like literally every 2 minutes. Dad, I don't like this water because it's too old. Like, it's the same water that was in there. Fine. I want new water. It's like, you don't need, Dad. And then they start with the tears, like, fine, here's your water. And
Giving your kids old water.
I mean,
What a
the nerve.
crime.
Jesus Christ. And look, it's a tough job, and it's a lot harder than, honestly, being a lawyer. It's harder than having a regular. I don't know how people do it, having the patience to stay home and raise children and keep them alive and not lose your mind. It's I could see where somebody would mentally lose their shit, and where they need to have like genuine adult interaction lest they lose their minds, And so I want to recognize that, like, because I know nobody gives a shit about you. Yeah, whatever, that's your job. Raise your kids. And then, nobody is giving you a gold medal for that. Nobody is. It's incumbent on literally your family, your husband, your wife.
That's what I want. I want a motherfucking gold medal.
You know,
yeah.
I just
For the
realized
men.
Schnitzel Ninja could be having adult interactions right now if either of us were an adult, Omar.
God damn it, Bruce.
Well, I will say, like, one thing that I don't mean this in any way as um making light of what all of these victims have been through, but the fact of the matter is this community has come together, and I have found some great friends and really great genuine people through it who I've had conversations about, like, my personal life with, and bonded over things with, and they're adults, and I get to talk with them, and
Yeah,
that's I have really appreciated that over the
it
past year.
helps. It helps. If you don't have that outlet, like it could go really bad,
Mhm.
and animosity and resentment, and then you got to build a spreadsheet to monitor all the contributions and exit plan and all of that.
Mhm.
Anyway, this lady's not the asshole. I appreciate the fact that she's open about this, and I don't even think that her husband would disagree. I don't think her husband would call her an asshole. I was like, hey, well, fuck, if I'm not recognizing you enough, I would think that after so many years of marriage, he would want to recognize her somehow, without being a dick about it. Or it could be the other way. He's like, how dare you try to take credit for all the sacrifices that I did? Were not there closing the deals. You were not there doing, that. They could also go that way. I'm just going to pretend that there's no chance and that he wants
He's
to
amazing.
recognize her. Yeah. Anyway, all right, let's move on to the next one. See, that was like an adult flat. That was not like some of the other zany bullshits that we have on the show. I think that was a really good one. Let's go. Let's see what this next one's going to be about. Let's see. All right, am I the asshole? Schnitzel, I'm going to have you read this one before my voice gives out. I feel like it's about to crack.
All
If you
right.
don't mind. Or I could have Bruce do it with
No,
a
I don't
few.
mind. Okay. Wait, was it? Am I the asshole for asking to divorce my husband after cheating on him? Right.
Oh, boy.
Throw away for privacy reasons. 30 female, have been married to my husband, 32 male, for 5 years. 1 year ago, I cheated on him in a drunken one night stand. The next morning, I felt disgusted and confessed immediately. He
Mm.
was devastated, but I begged and pleaded for another chance, and he gave it to me. I was ecstatic, practically hugging his feet, thanking him. It has been 1 year since then, but I feel we haven't made any progress. I took all the steps for reconciliation. I went to therapy, both couples and personal. I made it a point to put all of his needs and wants first. I gave him space when necessary, but also made it clear I was always there for him. I truly gave it my all, but it didn't even make a dent. He won't touch me, won't talk to me, won't have sex, but every time we do it, it's oh, yeah. Oh, sorry,
She
we
said they
have
do.
yeah, sorry. I was like, I read that wrong. We have sex, but every time we do it, it's clear he is just doing it out of physical need. I know I don't deserve more, but all I really want is just one sign to tell me that we are making progress. Just one sign that he still cares, that someday we can be like before or at least close to it. Just one sign that the sun is still there. Last night, I was at my limit. I told him we needed to talk and laid it all out. I told him that I loved him and I knew I was at fault, but that it was clear he was never going to forgive me. That as such, we needed to stop causing pain to each other and that I wanted a divorce. At first, he seemed surprised, and then he got angry. He yelled at me, saying how he knew I would never stick to my word and how he should have never given me the second chance. I got teary at his words, but didn't argue, just said again what I told him before. At this point, he left the house, and I haven't seen him since. He won't return my texts or phone calls. None of our parents or friends know about my infidelity, so this is the only place where I can get another perspective. I know I am the asshole for doing what I did a year ago, and I'll carry that shame and guilt for the rest of my life. But I don't think that I am wrong for wanting to end both our pains. Am I the asshole for asking for divorce? Edit, I think you guys misunderstand. I'm not blaming my husband or the lack of progress for the death of my marriage. I killed my marriage, and I will always carry that. I just don't think I'm in the wrong to end it now, no matter how much it hurts on both sides. Edit 2. He texted me, says he's coming home. I don't know what to expect. Edit 3. Here's my update for those of you who might care.
Should we comment on this and then do the update after, or should we go straight to the update? All right, let's comment on this.
Mhm.
All right. Well,
I mean, if you're in a relationship and it's a good relationship, you should always be able to talk about, like, should we break up or should we stay together? Like, if your relationship is strong, you should be able to handle that conversation. That's my take. So my answer is no, she's not the asshole.
Yeah, I get the feeling that she's almost putting too much guilt on herself for what happened. I feel like even for her to be able to move on personally, she's going to have to forgive herself at some point, and it feels like she still feels really, not to say she shouldn't feel guilty about it, but do you know what I mean? Like, you can know what happened, that you do feel bad for it, and you're not going to do it again. And then you can try to move on. But if it's still weighing you down, it's going to be hard for her to make progress for herself, even though she's in therapy. And also, I wonder, is he taking any therapy outside of the couples therapy? Because it sounds like he hadn't moved past it. So maybe that should have been a conversation earlier on. Hey, I notice it feels like you're doing this just out of a physical necessity. It feels like we're not connected anymore. I feel personally like maybe you haven't forgiven me for what happened. Can we talk about this? Maybe they did, but she doesn't mention that, you know?
I'm kind of surprised that he was surprised and then got angry, because it's like, what did you expect, sir? Like,
Right.
especially if your angry response is sort of like, oh, then I knew I shouldn't have done this a year ago. That just means this is the correct answer now, and now is all we can control. We don't have a time machine. Can't go back a year.
Right.
Sorry. You can get angry. Doesn't give you a time machine. All you can do is decide what to do now.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
The problem with infidelity, when somebody accepts the other back, is that it perpetually places the aggrieving party subservient to their partner, because there's always going to be the sense of guilt, and you did this, and
that was a big red flag for me when I saw this. I made it a point to put all his needs and wants first.
Yeah.
What about your needs and wants?
Oh, that's a big red flag right there.
You can't maintain a relationship that way. If you make the decision to forgive, then you got to forgive.
Exactly.
It's difficult to do. You could say that, and I could tell you to do that, but doing it, saying it, and doing it in practice, two different things. That requires lots of talks, lots of communications, lots of therapy, lots of who knows, man. But look, if you examine the totality of anybody's marriage, this is what I found. If you examine a relationship inside and out, every marriage, there's not going to be any marriages out there that don't have some degree of infidelity type activities at all. 0%. There's always going to be some measure of it, whether it be entertaining something, whether it be engaging in something, whether it be thinking of something or wanting to do something. It's always going to be a thing, because marriage is hard, and communication is difficult. And
sorry, I keep hearing an echo of my voice. You don't stop being attracted to other people once you get married. I mean, that's yeah.
And so it's always going to be a thing. And so you either acknowledge it and you forgive that the fact that your partner is a human being and they have these attractions. What are you going to do, man? You can't control a person's thoughts and their minds and their desires and such. And so you either acknowledge that your partner, male or female, is a human being that will have these things, and fuck, she got drunk and had a one-night stand. So that was his out on the relationship. He valued it enough to try to at least put on a facade that he was going to forgive her. And yeah, I'm not saying he's in the wrong, but I think if he was willing to do that a year ago, for her to try to skip out on the marriage after a year rehabilitation with the best of intentions, I just want us to be happy. I don't want to be mired in this drudgery any further. I mean, that's fine, but perhaps it just requires a little bit more time. Because look, you got this time invested. She's 30, he's 32, married for 5 years. They could get divorced tomorrow. and be perfectly fine. They're still in their 30s. They're still going to be attractive people.
No kids.
Find other, no kids, even better. And so they can do it without penalty. If it's something that they value and they want to overcome, and they eventually do overcome, then they will have the gold star of having this relationship, having gone through the, this crazy infidelity that occurred, and they were able to forgive and move on. Is that a positive? Is it a negative? Who's to say, man? But if they get over that, and he truly forgives her, and she truly forgives him for not being able to get perhaps over it fast enough, then in 3, 4, 5 years, if they're still going on, they're going to have a strong relationship.
Mm-hmm.
It's adversity that threatens to end a marriage, but getting through that somehow strengthens the marital bond. I don't know any couples that have been married 30, 40, 50 years that haven't gone through this level of adversity that threatened to end the marriage very early on. And they're there. So they go through it, they're strengthened by it. And you talk to them, all of a sudden, and you'll hear like the normal, oh, you just got to listen to your advice. Never go to bed angry, this and that. But aside from all of that, what they won't tell you is that, look, like around year 7, I really was sick and tired. There was an infidelity moment, or there was this or that. And I thought that we were going to end. And I was on the verge and I was ready to go. But God damn it, we tried and we stuck it out. And you know what? We were fine after that. And we did all these things. And there's a lot that goes in between that. I just think that if you've gotten this far, it wouldn't be the worst thing in the world to try a little bit longer to see where things. Did they say that they're in therapy?
She said couples and individual for her, at least. She didn't mention about him.
Well, he should also go into individual therapy because it's a difficult thing. For a man.
It sounds to me like he has not forgiven her for what happened.
Yeah, clearly he has.
Right. And I think that's where he has to. There are some people, I think, who are at that point, like, of, I don't know if emotional maturity is the right way to put it, but who would be able to forgive or acknowledge, hey, I realize I can't forgive you for that. And that's okay too.
Sure.
But it sounds like he has not been communicating honestly about how he's truly feeling about what happened and where he's at now. And it took her to say she wanted the divorce for him to say, basically, well, I've been thinking the same thing and I never should have given you a second chance in the first place.
What he probably communicated is what he thought he should say, not what he wanted to say.
Right. And maybe how he wished he actually felt.
Maybe. Yeah, 100%. I've been cheated on. I've been cheated on in the context of a marriage when I was in my 20s. And it was a shocking thing in the moment. And it was not like this passive, whatever, I'm just get over it. Like it shakes you. It shakes you that kind of thing could happen to you. And yeah, it could. It happened to anybody. What's her name got cheated on? I don't know. People get cheated on all the time. It doesn't matter who you are.
What's her name?
Like celebrities, like famous, like beautiful celebrities get cheated on.
Name a celebrity. They've all been cheated on. All of them. They're around
like
other
Sandra
people.
Bullock. That's probably not who you were thinking of, but I think she's
would have been a good example of one. That was one of my high school crushes, Sandra Bullock. Circa 1994, Speed with Keanu Reeves. But look, man, it is hard.
Natalie Portman.
Well, she wouldn't have been on my list, but sure.
But she got cheated on.
Yeah, I'm not privy on all of the infidelities that have gone on in Hollywood. I just know that they happen. Mm-hmm. All I'm saying is when a man gets cheated on like that, especially if they're younger, and he's like 32, so he's not so young, but he's young enough. It's a difficult thing to get over, man. Like, it knocks you out for a while, for a good week or 2 or 3 or a month. But the way that I handle it back when I was like 25, is I was in mourning for like a month. And then I got over it. But the way that I got over it was like in, this, all right, well, if she could do that, then I can do this. And so then I just, I went out and started doing my own thing. And obviously that marriage ended in a divorce. That's my first. I got married when I was 22. It was a stupid thing to do.
So
but I got my oldest daughter out of it. And so something came good out of it. But yeah, neither one of us had any business being married, but we were, and we did what we did. My response was I could have went the other way and been like a total. I mean, I don't know what the other way would have been, but my response to that was to go out and basically be single in my marriage. And that's how I lived until the whole thing unraveled. And to be fair, like I was trying to be what this guy was, like forgiving and let's try to make it work. We got a 2-year-old we got to consider and all those things. And when it was clear that she wasn't receptive to that all the way, I was like, all right, well, fuck it. Then I'm just gonna go be single then. How about that? You want to be separated? We'll be separated. And that's how I handled it. And I went forth and that led to the inevitable demise of that relationship. And it was for the best. I don't think there was any salvaging that relationship, regardless of the infidelities that occurred, because we were so young and because we were so wrong for each other. These people married at 25 and 27. That's like fringe. There's fringe still babies, you know, but they're old enough. I mean, they're old enough, and so he wanted to forgive her. They've made it a year, but she can't keep living in a relationship like this where she has to bend to his every whim,
Right.
and feel this constant guilt. She's never going to make it that way.
And it's also kind of enabling his unwillingness to forgive or inability to forgive. You know, she's catering too much to what she thinks he needs and wants.
Now, I was just going to say that. I mean, by her acting that way, it's giving him permission to continue keeping her under his shoe. And so there has to be something's got to give. What do you think of all this, Bruce? What would be your response to somebody doing this to you?
Wait, which one am I in this?
Oh, let's just say that. Okay. How would you have reacted? Well, this guy tried to forgive her for a year and now they're like at a crossroads, right? Let's just say 32-year-old Bruce is cheated on.
Like I said before, I'm a little surprised at his reaction because if their relationship is really this sort of dead, like, why does he have such a strong reaction to her bringing up the topic? And maybe it's the way she brought it up. I don't know if she said, what do you think about should we stay together? Like if you make it a question, it's a little softer than I want a divorce. That's more of a proclamation as opposed to a question like, tell me what you think. Should we stay together? Should we break up? What should we do? Let's have a conversation. They should definitely be doing that. But she may have made it a little stronger. I'm not sure. So it's just one of those things. It's the conversation they need to have.
Yeah.
I don't know what's going on in the comments, but Teresa said a bad way to pay back a cheater is sending them farts.
Lauren is doing a
Oh,
stream.
that's a whole court case or something.
Oh,
Woman
Like
arrested for sending farts to her boyfriend's ex.
oh, don't. Let's not do that. That's so amateurish, so juvenile. Well, let's read the follow up. All right, what is the follow up? All right, let's see where our announcement has led us. Oh, is it already on?
I like it when we get an update. It'll probably open in another window.
I wanted to ask you guys too. So, like, what kind of people are you in this sense? So, I'm the kind of person who starts with 100% trust. And then if you lose my trust or you do something to lose my trust, it's really, really hard for me to build it back up. But I know some people start with like no trust and then they build the trust up. So what are you guys in that?
I'd like to say that I'm a person that starts off informed that you're not going to be a perfect person. I'm not going to pretend like you're going to be a perfect person. I'm not going to hold you to some unrealistic standard. I'm going to trust you, but I'm also going to verify, and I'm not going to be blindsided when something goes wrong, or you like to think, right? But I try to be. I think when I was younger, I probably started off 100% trust, thinking that, you're indestructible. Nobody would ever betray you. But life has taught me that that's not the case. And so now I trust, but I'm aware. That's how I would describe myself. What about you, Bruce?
I think I use my intuition. So,
like a psychic?
No, it's just if I'm at work and there's meetings and things and projects going on, I develop an intuition, right? I observe people
Mm.
And that tells me how quick or slow I can build trust with those people.
Yeah.
In general, trust is hard to earn, easy to lose.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you can start off by giving people trust before it's warranted, I suppose. And I think for me, it's more like it has to be based on some sort of intuition
Yeah.
after
Well,
talking to someone a little bit, you know?
I feel like intuition is a survival skill. You have to have it.
Mm-hmm.
You have to. You just have to have a sense, you know? I've been accused on the show of like, oh, you think everybody is cheating. It's like, hey man, I'm just saying. I got the receipts, all of my cases.
Well, I think it
but
depends on which subreddit we're looking at, but a lot of these letters are from people who are in the process of breaking up or getting a divorce or have just gotten a divorce or something. And like you mentioned, since you do these divorces, in
It
some
comes along-
huge fraction of them, they have some cheating related to them.
Right.
yeah,
So
It just
there's some
comes along.
statistical correlation happening here.
Mhm.
It just depends on what kind of letter we're reading.
Yeah, and that's all. So this is the update. So before we begin this update, I feel there's a few things I need to clarify. I made the original post, ask if I was the asshole for asking my husband for a divorce, since I thought it was the best course of action for both of us, not if I was the asshole for cheating. I am already aware that I'm the asshole for doing that. I said it was a drunken one night stand, but never blamed the alcohol. Yes, it was an external. I'm not even talking about that. I didn't ask for a divorce because our progress was too slow or not as fast as I would have liked. I was willing to work at a snail's pace. The problem was that the progress was non-existent, not even a hint to show that we might be on the right direction. I felt that it wasn't right for either of us to forever remain in that limbo state, and that's a fair analysis. So now for the update. My husband came back home yesterday. He was a lot calmer, and this time he started the conversation. Firstly, he apologized for lashing out. He said that he had thought about it, realized that he was only punishing me without allowing himself to start healing and forgiving. He asked if I really wanted a divorce. I said no, that I loved him. But if he was never even at least considering to forgive me, then there was no point in causing more pain to each other. He was silent for a moment, and then he hugged me. That was all it took. I broke down crying and hugging him back. He promised that he would try to forgive me. I tried to take things a bit further, and he let me. I'm not going to lie and say that now everything is well. It was clear that the sex was still purely physical for him, and after he didn't treat me much more differently than usual. But now I feel like there is an achievable goal ahead, and that we're both actively trying to achieve it. I guess we're not getting divorced yet. Honestly, probably not many people wanted this update. I'm just highlighting my thoughts because, again, I can't really talk to anyone else about this. Thank you to those who gave genuine responses to me in my first post. Since I've read this a lot in the comments, I have told him from day one he is free to tell anyone he wishes about us. I've told him that I would never try to minimize or make it seem like he is lying. I'm wondering, like, what kind of stupid comments that these ladies are getting. I'm not concerned with my reputation at all. I just don't think it's my place to make that choice for him or take that choice. I've gotten so many replies and messages feeling, okay, I thank you profusely. You're good people. I'm grateful. Those who reached out with insults, I just want to say, whatever you can think of. I've probably already judged myself even harsher. For those who have shared their experiences and gave advice, just know I have thought about and considered what each of you has said. People here are saying I've gotten a lot of negativity, but privately I've gotten just as much positivity and advice. So thank you. You know what that reminds me of? It reminds me of the movie Training Day, about that smiles and cries. Smiles and cries. You got to keep your smiles and cries because that's all you have. And he was describing I don't know, I got to watch that movie again. What do you think about that, Bruce?
I don't know if that relates to feedback on the internet. To me, it's more, the internet is a place where even when there's high bandwidth, like if she gets a lot of replies or private messages, it's kind of low signal to noise, right? Like there's going to be some good advice, there's going to be some positive messages, and then there's going to be a bunch of trolls or people with, inflammatory judgments and all that aimed at her. So, I mean, that's how it is on the internet.
The smiles and cries angle is just like, look, man, all you can control is your smiles and cries, and what you let in is what you let in. So be careful what you let in. I don't know. And these internet trolls, probably not the best to let those filter in. I don't know, man. What I have to say about it is, look, this is a very genuine, realistic outcome of what happens when infidelity weasels its way into a marriage, and they're both giving an honest effort. And I don't think that he is being dishonest with her, that he wants to make it work, but he's always probably going to be angry. And if this carries on any further, that there's going to be inevitably there's going to be a rebuilding of trust, but it's going to come with a caveat. It's going to come with an asterisk. It's going to come with a few calluses. And I think that when wisdom prevails, inevitably what he's going to realize is that he loved his wife. She wasn't perfect. She was never going to be perfect. She fucked up, and I'm still here. And I'm always going to know that, but I should, reassess, how he views his wife. Because the reality of it is when she did that, doesn't matter what the reasons. He's never going to look at her the same. If he were to go out and do the same thing, she would never look at him the same. It'd be different. And what was could never be rebuilt. You can have semblances of it. You can have a silhouette of what used to be, but it's never going to be what it was. But I don't think that that's even necessarily a bad thing, because all that happened was you still love the person. You hate what they did. But if you acknowledge the fact that they're still that person, but for some imperfections, then you intellectually knew that before, and now you've experienced it going forward. And that's really the only way forward for these two people. I don't know. What do y'all think about that?
What do you think, Bruce?
I mean, I agree. It's just, they have to decide. It's all a trade-off, right? They have to decide if the relationship is better than not being in the relationship.
Yeah.
And there's lots of variables in that. And I think there's never any one variable. It's always like, and that's why they're kind of like having this on again, off again thing, right? There's multiple variables. And
Yeah.
it's like, if you got to figure out if the teeter-totter is tilted one way or the other. And it's not going to be one thing that moves it all the way over. It's going to be a bunch of things, and then one thing that tips it. Like she had gotten to a tipping point to initiate the original conversation. And then that led to these decisions. Maybe that'll happen again, like you're saying. We don't know. But all you can do is keep going forward.
It's funny, man. The way people talk when they're married and the way they talk after they've been divorced and single, they're obviously a lot more honest when they're not in the marriage anymore and they speak candidly about things. I think there is a real value to navigating a marriage and speaking honestly about your feelings and your thoughts and acknowledging that your partner is not this perfect thing. There are areas where my wife falls short. There's plenty of areas where I fall short. And I've never tried to mold her into this perfect thing. You marry this imperfect moving set of molecules. And some of them are going to be off kilter, man. What are you going to do? Your life is short. Time is short on earth. You pick and choose your battles, and you're either going to take up this fight to rehabilitate a marriage in light of what happened, or you ain't. But if not, then you got to make that call right now, because you're going to wake up tomorrow. You're going to be like 40. And the landscape for you is going to change. Maybe you wake up and you're 50 and you got to do the same thing. If you get rid of it now, even if you regret it later, you could always reconnect if that's what you want to do. But if you're going to stay in this, that's noble of you. It's good of you to do that. Just you're going to have to reassess and really harvest wisdom out of this. And you're going to have to look at this kind of scientifically, because emotions are all going to be all over the place. If you look at this emotionally, you're never going to rehabilitate. If you look at this with emotion, you're always going to be slave to feelings of betrayal and sadness and all the bullshit that you've been through for the last year. But, there is a path towards elevating above all of that Good on them. They're already kind of started on it. They have a choice to finish it or not. And maybe they'll make it, maybe they not. Maybe they won't. But I guarantee you that if they separate and they go into some other relationship with some other person, they're not going to be the types of people that start off with 100% trust, like Schnitzel was saying.
Right.
And that's not necessarily a bad thing.
But they also, like, if they're going to they have to heal and make sure they're ready. Like, I don't know. I was
It takes
thinking
time to learn things. It takes time to gain experience or to observe experiences that others have had so you can apply it to your own situation.
Yeah. And if they don't heal and learn from this, they're going to take the same issues to their next relationship.
Yep. And because we are human, there's no saving anybody from that. Anyway, this lady's not the asshole. How about that? Let us move on to the next one. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
That was the updates. We got two more. We're making good time.
Nice.
Not too much talk. Do the whether or not the size matters one. Is that the one? No, we're not going to do that one. Okay. My marriage is falling apart.
Uh-oh.
This is a good one. Well, I don't know if it's good, but it seems like it's an honest conversation. And I like the fact that it's short, even though they don't know what paragraphs are. That's cool. I'll forgive them.
Kids today.
No. Well, this lady's like 48, Bruce.
Oh.
I don't know. I'm sitting here just thinking about how the hell it all went so wrong. My wife left me 2 weeks ago because of my drinking. I'm a real asshole when I'm drunk. I was going through a lot emotionally. Life was beating me up heavy, and I kept drinking to try and drown that pain, but it just made me an insufferable dickhead to the one person that I love more than anything on this earth. I stopped drinking 2 nights after she left and haven't touched a drop since. She made it seem like if I stopped and put the work into our relationship, that there was something left to save. Now, she's moving back across the country with her family, and I'm just so lost. I'm not blaming her. I don't blame her for leaving and not putting up with my shit anymore. I just wish we could have tried marriage counseling or anything to try to make this a healthy, happy relationship. But I'm starting to understand she was already gone way before she actually left. And it just hurts, man. It hurts so damn bad. No matter what, though, what the fuck does that mean? IWW?
I would not.
Somebody translate. I would not deal with your trash. Taint.
Oh, no.
I will not deal with your taints. I just need... I just needed to get that off my chest. I've been holding it all.
I just needed to get that off my chest.
Oh, son of a bitch. All right. Like, why didn't you tell me you were leaving permanently when you made it seem in the beginning? You were just leaving until I got myself together. You doesn't owe me anything. I know that. It just really hurts to know that the woman I love, the woman I'm willing to give my whole life for, that I love fiercely in a way I've never loved anyone, is just walking away because of my drinking.
I looked it up.
Oh, what's it mean?
I will not drink with you today. Because this is in the Stop Drinking subreddit. So he's just saying it hurts really, really bad, but I'm not going
to
relapse
again.
Yeah.
Well, could we pretend it was the taint one?
I will not drink with your taint.
I will not drink with your taint.
Oh boy.
I mean, he's not asking any questions here. It's just the reality of the situation is.
I mean,
fucked up. What are you going to do?
Yeah. I'll say, and I think I've mentioned it before, that I was in a very long, serious relationship with an alcoholic. And there's a history of alcoholism on my mom's side of the family that resulted in some really bad things. But I never experienced it personally. And when I was with this person, he had like a great job. He had a son. He was divorced, but of course, everything was the ex-wife's fault, right? What I was told. Um, so he had a house. Like he just had everything together, and I noticed he drank a lot, but I didn't know how to recognize alcoholism.
Yeah.
And I finally did. And I remember in that moment, we weren't married, but we were living together. I was living in his house. I was taking care of his son. And I remember feeling like I had to decide right then and there. I either leave now. It was because it was early on enough that it was like a couple months in, and I could have left, or I stay and I try to help him. And I decided to stay and help him. And long story short, you realize you can't. You can try and try and try, but it's not you. It's not your job. It's not something you can do.
Yeah, you can only help people who ask for your help and accept it and
Right. Yeah,
use
who
it.
who
Yeah.
want the help or willing to have it. Yeah, exactly. But like in my case, he wasn't willing to acknowledge he had a problem. It was always explained away. It was like at least 12 drinks a night of hard liquor, and then he also had a flask. He worked for the government,
Holy heck.
and he drove a government vehicle, and he had a flask in there every day that he was drinking from during the day. And
Oh,
I'm like, you don't see
dead.
you have a problem. Anyway, so I guess just like from my perspective of being on the other side of it, and like she went through that whole process of losing him probably over like years. And maybe she didn't know how to reach out and get help for herself. Maybe she didn't know what to say to him. She didn't know how to manage this situation, and just day by day was losing herself and losing the relationship. And so I can see how how he lost her well before this. Do you know what I mean? Like he talks about there.
Well, as you would imagine, in a lot of my cases, some of my clients happen to be alcoholics. And you kind of see them spiral, and you try to advise them. Their biggest, they sound a lot like this guy. Like, I don't know, I'm losing everything and this and that, and my kids hate me. And it usually starts with some form of domestic violence restraining order. You get so drunk and there's some kind of an episode, and then next thing you know, kids don't want to talk to him, and now he's breaking down the door because he's drunk. He didn't mean to do it, but then he gets arrested, and you have these kinds of things. And now he doesn't have any visitation. He doesn't this and that, but he acknowledges stuff. I've had clients show up drunk to my office and just rant about this stuff for like, not hours, but like an hour, and just talk about like, what do I do with all of this? I mean, alcoholism is a sickness. It's really scary when you're in the midst of somebody like that.
Yep.
Because you're not talking to a human being. You're not talking to the human being that you want to talk to. You're talking to this other drunk version of it that's not taking in consideration you as a person. Like, they're on about all kinds of stuff. Mm-hmm. My dad was an alcoholic. I have a long history of alcoholics in my family, and I've seen it firsthand. I've seen how destructive it is. And when they get in that mode, man,
there's nothing you can do.
No, I remember like times with my dad, like just trying to like settle him down off some kind of drunken rage. And like, he's like every negative word, and they're calling me this and that, and you're a piece of this, and F you, and I'm going to kick your ass. And, all the while you're holding him there, and you got to just take it. What are you going to do? You're going to like beat up your dad. You're going to, everybody's watching. And it's like this sad thing. It is so destructive. And so this guy, look, getting into AA, getting into therapy, getting into whatever, there's not a class that's going to fix him. It's like a lifelong endeavor to stay sober. And look, there's a million different underlying reasons for it. But if you're in the situation, more importantly, if you're dealing with a situation where you are married to somebody that is an alcoholic and they are not letting up with it, they're giving in to their need to be constantly inebriated at all times, or at times during family time, then you are in danger. And there's no honor staying in that situation trying to fix him, Because as this guy, as you're seeing his reaction, he knew that he was fucking up when he was doing it.
Mhm.
And now he's coming to this realization that he's probably had a million times before, but now it's real because now she's gone.
Right.
And now he's going to maybe try to get help. The reality of it is, as I track these cases through the years after the breakup, alcoholism, substance abuse doesn't go away. It remains prevalent. And the way I know that is because the children recognize it and pick up on it, and it becomes pieces of evidence and custody battles about why we can't leave little Billy alone with dad because he's drinking like a pint every night of vodka and mixing it with other stuff and other substances. And, you know, when he's drunk, he's scary and abusive. And then you got to prove that in court. And it just sucks. I hate those cases the most, but they're real. And so it's a sickness that you have. And look, staying there, nobody's giving you a medal, as we've already discussed in previous cases. Number two, you're in danger, because who's to say that he just doesn't break down completely and accidentally do something and not realizing what he's doing in the moment, and he sobers up to find your lifeless body laying on the floor.
Exactly. And my ex told me that I wasn't worth killing. Isn't that nice?
Yeah, that's the kind of stuff that drunk people say. You know, they say the most vile, the most vile, revolting things to try to hurt you the absolute most. Because, look, you goes, oh, because they're hurting so much inside. It doesn't matter. If you're in the presence of an alcoholic, if you trigger something, there is no filter. They're going to say stuff like what you just described, Schnitzel, or maybe worse, probably worse. And, you know, a long string of those kinds of insults without end.
Yep.
And so, I don't know.
As a family law attorney in your cases, where do you see this type of thing have the biggest impact? Like, if these people don't have children, people are going to get a divorce. You just do the divorce and it doesn't really impact it? Is it really when there's more a custody issue, or what are the impacts legally that this can have?
Yeah, you really only deal with substance abuse and alcoholism when there's children involved. Because when, you know, or restraining orders, domestic violence restraining orders, once you get the restraining order and they're separated, and then, you know, you're done. But where you really see it pop up is where you have to continue this relationship because of the children. And now we're having to navigate and litigate whether or not we should give him an alcohol test, maybe at unannounced times, to prove that he's sober before he picks up the kids. Maybe he shouldn't be left alone. Maybe he shouldn't have overnights. And then how do you prove that he's abusing substances without a positive drug test? And then there's the issue in California. They don't even let you do like a hair follicle test. You can't order a hair follicle test. You're limited to urine tests, but that's only going to catch stuff in your system for like the last couple of days.
Yeah.
It's not very effective. And so, they've litigated that. It's a violation of constitutional rights, constitutional protections, to order a 30-day, a test that will test substances for 30 days.
Hair test out of family court?
You could agree to it. You could volunteer to take one, but the judge can't order you to take one.
Right.
And so, where I see these cases, unfortunately, is where there's young children involved when they're in danger, and they're usually accompanied by allegations of abuse, and, as you could imagine, verbal abuse, physical abuse, domestic violence, all these things, and throw in a couple of substances, extra substances for good measure, coke, fentanyl. I had a case where this guy just had fentanyl paraphernalia just laying around, and the kids took a picture of it, and it became evidence. And we had to lay the foundation for that evidence. And imagine having a child being cross-examined by his dipshit attorney, trying to make the children out to be liars because he doesn't want his client to lose the case.
Yeah.
It just gets real fucking ugly with these cases sometimes, man. They're the worst of the worst. And so, I guess my closing remarks on that, it's not a question per se, it's a realization that, look, the person that you married that has the alcohol problem or the substance abuse problem, it's not that they're bad people, but they're sick.
Yep.
And you're not going to be the one to fix them. It's not in your best interest to try to fix them. If they get fixed, it's because they fix themselves. And you shouldn't wait around to see whether or not it's going to actually happen or not. Because chances are,
I left. I finally realized it wasn't anything I could do.
Yeah.
I couldn't do any more than I already had. And I had already done way too much.
100%. And good for you on getting out of there, because some people don't recognize it and they stay in these relationships for years.
No, it's true. And I mean, but it's hard because you see that positive side, or that person you fell in love with when they're not drinking.
Yeah.
And when I moved out, he had a safe that would lock, obviously, but it had my passport, it had like my car title, stuff like that in it, but I wasn't allowed to have the code to the safe, even though it had my stuff in it, because it had his stuff in it. So when I moved out, he was not home. I rented a truck. I moved all my own shit out of there by myself. And when so the safe was open, and when I opened it fully, and there was an engagement ring sitting on top of my personal documents. And I was like, fuck you. Like, really? Like, it was just the whole thing was very manipulative, the whole relationship outside of the alcoholism. But anyway, it's like I'll never forget that. Just seeing that there, and I was like, no, I'm leaving.
Wow. How long were you with that guy?
It was 3 years. I mean, I guess it's not like a long. I know I said it's a long relationship, but at that time, it was
long.
It was a long, and to live with somebody and be basically like a stepmom.
Yeah.
In many senses of that term, to his son.
That is a chunk of life, you know?
Yep.
At least Neil Lane wasn't there.
Exactly. Sorry, Neil.
Lucked out on that.
All right. Any closing remarks on this post before we move on?
He needs to fix himself for his life. And
himself.
Yeah. And if she comes back, she comes back. But he needs to not. He's not even in a place to be thinking about having a relationship with someone right now, in my opinion.
Yeah. And look, I can't emphasize enough. You're not going to be the one to fix this person. Mm-hmm. They're either going to do it by themselves or not at all. And so, look, you got to get out, man. You got to go for your safety and for your emotional well-being and physical well-being for that matter. All right, let me get out of this one. And we'll finish up with our last one. If we actually make it under 2 hours for this show, I'm going to be happy with that. Yeah, these shows tend to go long. All right. Am I over? Well, here is a wacky one. How about that?
Uh-oh.
Am I overreacting to manscaping? My husband's 45. I'm 48.
Oh, this could be informative, Omar. We need to read this one carefully.
Maybe. I'm going to study this one with a
Well, let's start off. Do you guys manscape?
Yes, I do.
Oh, boy.
You can't just not manscape, man. You can't just have a jungle down there, man. You got to take it somehow.
Well, okay. So, there's levels, right? I mean,
if you're going to see someone, if you're going to be alone for a while.
Like, I don't know. I was on back before Facebook, there's like LiveJournal, and the local group had a, what do you call it? A poll. And they were like, what do you do? And it was literally like 1/3, I don't do anything. I leave it as is. 1/3 was like, I trim it to some extent. And 1/3 was, I shave everything as much as possible. Do you know what I mean? So it was like perfect thirds.
Wax, Bruce?
What?
Are you the Brazilian wax kind of guy?
Me? No.
I
think I'm in that like trim to a reasonable level.
Yeah. You just put it down, man, but you don't let that shit grow. It's kind of gross.
I mean, the problem for guys is, there's a lot of rugged terrain. And you can't it's not like shaving your face. You got
No, for sure. I've learned many lessons that way.
It's like you put something down there, it's gotta be the Mars rover. It's gotta be real careful about where it goes.
I got the Manscaper 2.0 or whatever. What is he called?
Oh boy.
The little Manscaper thing. The Manscaper.
Yeah. I know.
I don't know. It's supposed to be like safer. I don't know. It's just like a razor with a clip on it. So, but it has like it's got like ball balm or ball perfume or something. I don't know.
Perfume.
It's like called crop preserver. Like it's like aftershave for your balls.
Ode to ball.
Aftershave?
Totally.
Is it like Aquavelva?
I don't know what Aquavalva is, but it's definitely like aftershave.
I don't know, like Old Spice.
It's definitely not
It's a
Old
liquid.
Spice. Yeah, it is a liquid. Yeah, it's like a liquid. And there's like a cream as well. You apply the cream, and it says to apply it liberally.
There's liquid and cream.
It even says on the bottle this.
That's a lot.
It's
I think they're just.
instructions. It literally says, and this is the fun part: apply cream liberally to the ball area and shaft.
Oh, jeez.
Shaft.
Of course. I think they're making a lot of money off you with that. I think that's
I know they're not even a sponsor. Shit, god damn it! I didn't think.
Reach out.
Things they're just. Yeah, use more of it. We'll sell you lots more.
Use it on stream.
Get a subscription. Yeah.
You can do it with like a silhouette. Using it on stream. This is a demonstration of how you use the Manscaper 2.0.
Silhouette. It reminds me of Austin Powers when they're in the tent.
Oh no!
Tell us a college student story.
Oh yeah. Well, it's probably not the college story you'd want to hear. So no, I had a boyfriend who let me shave his balls one time.
Oh boy.
Which I was thrilled about. I had a great time.
There's no chance I would let any woman.
How much blood was there?
None. I didn't cut him at all. I was very careful.
I'm skeptical. What did you use?
Just like a razor, like a face razor. Like, I mean, like what you use for your beard.
Fuck that. Like a blade? No way, dude.
Yeah, the blade.
You used a Mach 3 on his balls?
What the hell?
Basically, yeah. It was just, I mean, it was
That does not
similar.
sound safe. There's got to be. That sounds like a massacre.
He sat on the toilet and lifted
Oh my god.
everything up, and I did it.
Why the toilet though? Like, why couldn't he just like I don't know. Well, I guess whatever. I'm just saying with the razor. I don't know.
Yeah, it was a razor. I didn't do the whole sack.
Did you?
It was like probably half of it.
Did you leave
Half
him
of
with
it?
like a landing
He
strip?
finished it. He finished it.
The left half or the right half?
I think it was the right half.
Oh God.
Did you use shaving cream?
Yes, we did. We did. We used whatever he used on his face.
Oh,
That doesn't sound advisable.
I don't like this.
Well, I probably wouldn't recommend it. I wouldn't
don't
let
like
anyone
any
do
of
it to
this.
me.
What?
But I was like, can I please? 'Cause I'm weird. I'm weird. If you
Oh,
guys
we
Would you
know.
let him shave your vag?
No,
Oh,
I would
boy.
never let anyone. I would never let anyone. I've never even been waxed. Like I'm in control of that, and
Wait, which category are you in? The natural, the trim, or the shave?
oh god.
You don't have to do. Oh shit.
It was in a poll.
I'll say little to no fetal DNA.
Whoa.
No,
I
what's
don't
funny?
know.
Well, no one wants to know this shit. When
Rumble in the
I went
jungle.
into labor, one of my first thoughts was, "Oh my god, like I have to clean up down there because people are going to be down there." So I'm like having contractions in the shower, like trying.
What?
I was just like in my mind, I was like, "Oh no, like I don't want it." Like people already have to like be down there and.
I'm sure
do
Dr.
that
Medchill
anyway.
has seen it all. He's delivered like 100,000,000 babies. I mean,
Oh.
it'll be fine.
Yeah, he dropped my baby. So
He's,
All right. Well,
he's
let
seen it
me,
all.
What is the general current opinion about full-on 70s bush? Like, why did that go out of style? Is it like a hygiene issue?
I don't know. I mean, I have
Soap
just always preferred like something different for myself. But I think if someone doesn't want to shave their armpits, great. If you don't want to shave down there, great. You don't want to shave your legs, fine. Like I'm not obviously like I'm not with people with that stuff, but for me, I just whatever someone prefers.
I don't know, man. I feel like I would prefer if women would shave their armpits because I was not raised where that was an acceptable thing. But I don't get, whatever, man. What are we talking about right now?
We were supposed to read this story.
It's in Bush.
Yeah.
Am I
we're talking about-
overreacting? That is the question.
all right. This
Before
guy.
us.
All right. So first off, the preamble. I've been with my husband for about 16 years. To say that they have all been good years would be a lie. Don't get me wrong. There have been
Jeez.
good ones,
Start
but
off with
possibly-
downer.
possibly more bad ones, at least in my eyes. All right. And yet we're talking about manscaping in spite of all of that. Husband works out of town during the week. But I know where she's going with this. She thinks she's.
It was the best of times. It was the worst of times. This is real, literary.
Yeah, it's like what if your wife goes out before her? What if she goes before her business trip and like straight up gets a Brazilian wax?
That was one of the things, right?
Yeah.
Haven't we read that letter?
We had one of these before. I feel like, yeah. I think that's where she's going. Let's see. So he's always treated me well. Probably 2 years in or so, I found out he was talking to people online in a very sexual manners, like groups of people, both men and women.
What?
Both men and women.
In the BDSM kind of
thing. BDSM kind of thing, which was upsetting to me, mostly because he did it, but also because I would try to initiate kinkier sex, and he wasn't interested and always acted like it wasn't his thing.
I'm interested in this term. I found out. Was he keeping it a secret, or was this like they were being straightforward with each other?
It says when I confronted him with what I had discovered. So I wonder if she saw it. Like,
I think he's trying to keep some secrets here.
Yeah.
Red flag.
Maybe he's the gimp. Maybe that's what's going on.
Oh boy.
When I confronted him with what I had discovered, he basically just shut down and said he was such an asshole, an awful husband, so that I would basically say it was okay, which I did. I told him it wasn't okay, and that she should be able to talk to each other if there are issues in the marriage, and suggested counseling. He refused counseling, swore it would never happen again. So fast forward.
Red flag.
About 2 years.
English, motherfucker, do you speak it?
Oh, Jesus. No. We do.
About 2 years, and he did it again. But was more just talking to someone online with a little bit of nude pics.
What the? She's so casual about this.
I mean, so again, I confronted him, and it was the exact same response. I told him I would never, ever trust him. He cried, begged me to forgive him. I reluctantly did. And then we were busy living life and woke up one day and realized we don't have sex hardly ever. This is not okay. Every time I would say anything about it, he would make the effort and we would be intimate. None of this has anything to do with manscaping. There's like a million other things.
I know. I feel like I'm being teased on this one a little bit. The Epa lady is teasing me here.
So this made me feel like I had to beg for sex, which I stopped doing naturally. And then he got really sick and almost died.
What?
What? Oh my God! I wasn't looking at the screen.
Is this real? I feel like every sentence, is this post bullshit meter is just going up a notch.
Why is it always the case that our last story of the day is always suspicious of being fake?
Yeah.
All right. After a long stay in the hospital, I learned while there he tested positive for HIV. All right.
Oh boy. Here we go.
I was tested and thankfully was negative. I was devastated. The doctor, in an attempt, I suppose, to help me not be so upset, informed me it could be dormant for 10 years before you even know.
Oh, thanks, Doc.
He could have gotten it before I even knew him. Yeah, all right. This is bullshit. This whole story is bullshit.
I feel like this, yeah.
Well, I'll say like HPV is the same way. You could have been with a partner 10 years ago and just now show signs of HPV. So
just like herpes?
It's human papillomavirus.
HPV. Is that the herpes family of, I don't know.
No, it's not herpes. It's like it can cause cervical cancer. And I think it could cause throat cancer. And what's colon cancer? Anal cancer.
Anal cancer of the asshole?
Yeah.
My question is, why would the doctor lead with that, though? Oh, don't worry. Your husband wasn't cheating. It could be dormant for 10 years. I feel like
probably like flip it, like finding that information out about your partner who like.
He didn't say the husband wasn't cheating.
No.
Maybe the doctor's just like, oh, well, it could have been 10 years ago.
Yeah. Could have got it from the toilet.
I mean, I guess he said to help me not be so upset. He gave her bad news. Well, I mean, yeah, so that's weird.
Maybe
I feel like this is written by AI.
That's what I was going to say. I feel this feels like an AI.
This is weird.
All right. So HIV, he cried, begged me. So I kept this. Wait, did I say things? The doctor. Okay. He cried. He begged me not to tell anyone in our family. What was I supposed to do? This is the man I'm married for better or worse. I do love him. So I kept this secret for quite a few years now. Only him and I know. Obviously, it's changed our intimate relationship a lot. It's been so hard for me to keep this from my grown kids, his family, just everyone. I feel like I was given that and then have never had anyone to vent to about it or even discuss how it affected me too. Not to mention the fact it's been several years and he refuses to admit he knows how he contracted it.
How does she know he knows?
I was gonna say, when did that get divulged? So 2 years passes after finding out about his diagnosis. How long is this shit? Okay.
What are these people doing?
Life moved
Where's
on.
their ongoing?
I have struggled almost every single day because I feel like there's a big elephant in the room that we just ignore.
I think there was a big elephant in his.
In his
Oh no.
The guy's getting pipes. He's totally the Ghent man. That's why he doesn't want to, Anyway, as time went by, the online cheating seemed to stop and he seemed to be more emotionally available to me. The end of my birthday, 1 year I saw a text come through his phone and saw it was again ongoing. I didn't even confront it. I just ignored it. I just didn't have it in me to fight over this again. I considered leaving and the implications it would have on me, him, and our family. Just didn't seem like I could do it right that moment. Then fast forward a few months, a few very stressful months, and my father passed away. He was great. It's all over the place. He comforted me and did everything he could for me. And I thought it was ended, but I should have known I was wrong because the Manscaping
when do we get to sue Manscaped 2.0 for defamation? Come on, what's going on here?
All right, so they agreed to counseling. I would stay and not do my own thing, but since he always refused any sort of counseling.
Oh, he was sexting at the funeral. Okay, that's fine.
Oh, did I miss that?
I mean, it's not
Yeah,
fine.
yeah.
It's the
The day we
all caps
laid
part.
my dad to rest, I found out it was a lot worse than we had
I was
thought,
like,
and he
why
had
are
been
there all
messaging.
caps?
Yeah, right up above there. These people while we were at the family gathering after the funeral. I told him I was done.
At the
We could stay
funeral.
together. I'd just do my own thing if he was going to continue to do his own thing, or we could just get divorced.
But the thing she's mad about is the manscaping. Okay.
If you
So-
but about 6 months ago,
I guess I got
Really
comfortable because he treats me really good in the sense he would do anything I needed him to or asked him to. I know he loves me in his way, but about 6 months ago, I noticed he was manscaping. Odd, since we rarely have sex. And due to circumstances, we don't do oral. I asked him about it, and he said, "Oh, I did it for you." Weird. Okay. Then again, last night I noticed when he got out of the shower, he had manscaped again at some point in the last few days. I don't know. I feel like at some point it's got to be over, but we also do love each other. I think. Am I overreacting to some manscaping?
No, you're fucking. This isn't about manscaping. She's
You
like
got
focusing on
fucking
all the wrong
HIV?
things.
He's getting piped in the ass by like BDSM dominatrixes or whatever.
I know he's texting with like leatherhotmoose.nakedcom or whatever and
dad's
all day
funeral.
long. I mean,
Moosefeet.com.
I know, right? Like,
There's probably
no.
pictures of him getting squirted on by like all these different. Never.
Squirted on.
I didn't want
Oh,
to say the other.
no.
I
Any
think
show.
he is not being honest about his true desires, and this relationship is never going to work. She needs to leave him. She's not the asshole.
I'm not taking this serious because I don't think this is a serious post. I think it's an AI generated.
He won't
story.
even tell her how he got the HIV. Like, that alone is.
Grounds to leave.
Yeah, of all the things that she wanted to mention that the doctor said, "Oh, it could have happened 10 years ago." Just so you know.
Mhm.
I don't know. I don't think this is a serious post.
The thing she's worried about is he's like shaving, manscaping mermaids into his.
She's like,
you
is
know,
he still
hair?
doing it? Yes,
What?
he's still doing it. Yes.
Like-
He never dealt with it in the first place. He's still doing it.
I'm just gonna go out on a limb. Well, I'm not going on a limb. I'm just gonna say that you should probably manscape or ladyscape for hygienic purposes. If you choose not to, then cool. Just be hygienic about it. I
Like
guess.
Chris said, there are different levels. Like, are you thinking you're going to be getting some action, or are you going to be sending like dirty
Mhm.
pictures to somebody? Then you're going to man or whatever escape in a different way than
Yeah.
if just
Well, you
or,
could
or
be full natural. It's just, there's soap, there's shampoo. I mean, you can just
sure, but I think that yeah, like if he's doing it in a way where it's like, whoa, he like really like took care of things, like if that's out of the ordinary, or she notices like it's just starting to happen now,
Mhm.
I think it could be sus,
Right, sure.
especially given the history here.
I think we're past the sus part. Like the guys, it's
Right?
just
No, of course, like he's obviously still doing
yeah.
engaging that behavior. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, okay. If your partner does something out of the ordinary with their genitals, that's always going to be a flag of some sort.
Mhm,
You know,
mhm.
it doesn't include you when it's like, oh no, I just felt like I wanted to be a little more free today. I don't know. And then with him, I mean, I don't fucking know, man. It depends on like, are you trying to divorce your husband over manscaping or not, or talk to him about it. I have nothing for these people. I'm going to defer to you two. I
I
defer
mean,
to Mark.
she's being lied to, and
I
she's
think she could have a very complete Excel spreadsheet of issues to go through without even
of
putting
days
manscaping
of
on that
days that he
list.
manscaped.
No, I mean, forget leave the manscaping out of it. She has a litany of other issues here.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't even want to talk about the manscape. Let's talk about the other. I mean, I don't believe this is a real post. But if it were, I'm just saying we should talk about like the first couple paragraphs first.
Also,
Other
I just
stuff.
have to say, I'm not into shaved chests. I don't like it when guys shave their chests.
What if they don't have hairy chests to begin with, so they don't have anything to shave? Is it still
Uh,
something you don't like?
then why are you shaving it?
Well, no, maybe they don't shave it because there's nothing to shave, so it's indistinguishable
Oh, well, but you can tell
visually
when
from
it's
a
been
shaved.
shaved. I dated a
What?
guy who shaved his chest, and it was like you
Oh,
couldn't
so
lay
you're
your head
saying
on it. It was not
okay.
nice to
You're
touch.
saying you want perfectly smooth or perfectly hairy. If you stubble it out,
I mean, I don't know if I'd be
bad
into a
news.
guy that
Is
had
that right?
no hair on his chest, like just naturally. I don't know. That seems a little weird to me that there's like nothing there. But yeah, I'd rather have it just be like natural hair there.
Okay.
That is a fair statement. I guess it's like, preferences and all.
Everybody has their proclivities.
Would you think it was sus if your husband just came home with a shaved chest one day? And was
I'd
like,
probably
hey,
make fun of
Well,
him.
was it hairy to begin with?
His chest isn't super hairy, but it's not hairless.
well,
It's
I
a
could tell you
medium
that
haired chest.
On a scale of 0 to Burt Reynolds, where is he?
4, 5. I guess I've never seen Burt Reynolds'
I'm
chest.
trying to remember Burt Reynolds' chest. I don't have. Oh, I guess that football movie.
Schnitzel Ninja's too young for my crazy jokes.
I know he existed.
Robin Williams was like a hairy dude.
Oh yeah, him too. Yeah,
I'll tell you this. I would
He's the same
100% tell my wife to shave her pits if I notice something down there or under there. And if
Down there.
Well, if he got out of
doing a
control,
handstand.
like, hey, it's getting to be about. It's getting to be about much. About much. It's getting to be about much. I can't even fucking talk. It's getting to be about. I can't. My brain is mush. What am I trying to say, Bruce? It's getting to be about much.
I mean, we all have our proclivities.
It's starting to be a bit much. That's what I'm trying to say.
Oh
Gosh,
boy.
my brain just malfunctioned. I don't know what happened. I don't know what that was. There's nothing wrong with telling your partner that they need to clean themselves up a little bit. Is all I'll say. Just don't be a dick about it. Say, hey, maybe you want to trim the edges a little bit, man, because you're poking out there.
Poking out there.
Oh
You're
my.
scared of children. What is that about?
I'd be like, hey, you want to go get a new fucking face? Because that's bothering me.
What?
Well, that would be kind of fucked up, Schnitzel, because we can't. But I guess fair game is say, hey, you might want to shave your face a little bit because you're getting to be a bit musty up there, or not musty. What would be the word?
Musty.
You're a little musty on your face.
You're looking a little too mature for me. Could you shave that?
In the beard? Too much soup.
Too much.
In the
Well,
soup
I'm not into like the long beard thing. I think there's so much shit
Super
that
long.
lives in a long beard. I just be grossed out.
I tried to grow a long beard during COVID. It didn't work out. I was like, yeah, fuck all of this. I can't deal with this much hair on my face. Also, it didn't come in good. Like, it didn't look cool. It didn't look like Sons of Anarchy. So I was like, fuck that. I can't do with that. Oh, Jane, she asked, how much whiskey, Omar? I'm completely sober right now. There's no whiskey because I'm trying to maintain my voice. Whatever's happening is sober Omar.
We're killing his voice.
And I've only had tea, so I'm also sober.
Oh, see, next week we'll do this unsober. And we'll see how much more fun we have. I feel like
could be more fun than this.
Well, we were a little serious today. We were actually having adult discussions, and
very sophisticated.
We tend to be a little more zany when we're more lubricated. Is all.
That's true.
Maybe next week we'll see.
Although I shared a lot tonight.
Yes, you did. As did I.
I bared it all.
Bruce, on the other hand, shared very little, but that's okay. Man of mystery.
My strategy's working.
Double thumbs up.
All right, folks. I'm going to wrap this up at an hour 45. I love you guys. Schnitzel, thanks for coming on. Bruce, as always, thanks for being a G, coming on. I appreciate you guys. For all 47 of you guys watching right now, thanks for sticking with us. I love you all. Be safe out there.
Remember, Omar, when you're streaming by yourself, look at chat every minute or so, every couple minutes, because we're trying to tell you things.
I know. And it's weird. I was not getting my text. Like, I got bad reception on my phone all of a sudden, so my texts aren't even coming through. So you couldn't even.
I didn't think you would look at your phone. I didn't text you.
No, I was trying to just because But yeah, good catch on that one, Bruce. I appreciate you, man. Anyway, for all of you out there, have a good weekend. Mind your bush, and
oh boy,
we will see you all next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.